Well, hello, my fellow songwriters. I'm really excited. I'm going to show you guys how I use Logic to create one loop and then use that one loop to create an entire song. So at first I was always super intimidating creating electronic music just because I felt like it had to be this super in-depth, layered, crazy thing with a billion different synth parts, and it was just very overwhelming. And even though I'm not the best mixer, I've learned kind of how to write using Logic and or just any type of recording software you have. So I'm going to show you this project that I actually just finished writing, and it's still in the works, so it's not mixed at all. But I want to show you guys that all of this, what you see here, all comes from this one loop right here. So if you can see, actually I'll break it down even more for you. This all started as just these 4 bars right here. So what I did, and I'll shorten this for you so you can see it. What I did is all this loop was basically these 4 bars, and I just came up with a loop I really, really liked. So it actually started with this sound right here. And I kind of just played around. I played around with some different sounds, and then I finally came across that sound, and I actually really liked it. And I played that little lead, and then I was like, okay, well, what can I put under this? So after that, I actually added in, I think I just played around with some drum beats. On Logic, it's actually really cool what you can do in Logic is this is actually, you can add a virtual drummer. So it'll kind of detect the rhythm of your song, and you need to have the metronome set for this, but you can select different drummers to try different things. So I ended up, here, I'll copy this so you can see, and it won't mess up the project. So what I did is I took this little jazz little tenor sax piece I threw in there, and I just added in like a virtual drummer. And you can take this drummer in Logic and you can change it to different things. So I can change the drummer to different beats. You can change the intensity and so on and so forth. I'm not going to go too much into that, but basically what I did for this first loop, delete that, I ended up with this sound right here. So kind of just a basic 4 in the 4 beat, and then I added in this guy right here, which was like a just like that. And all this is I think I just did, you can see it's just something like that. And then I just played around with sounds. So basically all I did at this point is I came up with my kind of lead line. I added some kind of a beat just to give it a groove so I could kind of feel it. And then I added some kind of a rhythm. Now at this point, I'm not so worried about the dynamics of like verse, chorus, everything. I'm kind of just trying to build out this loop the way I want it to sound at its fullest point. So then I wanted some kind of a like breathy pad underneath it. So that's what's happening there. And this is just to add a little bit of melody underneath it, because you could put a lot of stuff under this that's going to change the entire feel of the song. So you want to kind of just settle on your melody, which is what I did. And then I added in this guy, which is just I just held out one note, and I found a really like shimmery, sparkly thing in Logic, the sound. I just threw that in there. And my goal with this was just to add a little bit of texture from the other sounds I had. So I added all that stuff. And then I needed some bass. So, and I just did a very, very basic bass. Let me see so you can hear it by itself. had that guy. So we had that, and let me see here. I think these last couple sounds. Yeah, so the last thing I did was I added this piano sound here. Just like this. Okay. So I added this piano sound in here. And that was just on a loop. So these last two ones, it was something I had played with, but ended up not liking it. So these are just going to stay muted. But when you listen to all of the sounds together, and once again, I'm not worried about dynamics of verse at this point. I'm mostly just focusing on how I want my final loop to sound at the biggest point of your song, which is probably going to be your last chorus type of thing. So, or big instrumental, or whatever the nature of your song is. So all together, it sounds like this. Cool. And this was the loop I worked with. So now at this point, and then as you can see, I have an entire song laid out. What I did is I actually started copying this over, but then what I did is I took things out. So for the beginning of the song, what I actually did, the only thing at the beginning of this song is actually just the little saxophone. And I think, see here, all of this stuff was muted. None of this was in there. So pretty much the only thing, and then I just looped it. So get the little looper tool there, selected it all, and then I looped it. So what I did is I basically took that same loop, and as I wrote the song, I decided what sounds I wanted to omit to make different dynamics. So if you just listen to what I have here, this is the first verse. And the tags up here are a little messed up, so don't look at these. But then what I did is actually when I wanted to go to the pre-chorus, it's the same loop, but I added in our bass, and I added in that little, this one right here. Oh, everything's selected, that's why. I added this guy. And I added our bass. And that was our pre-chorus. So all I did was I just omitted different things and added back in different things as the song progressed. So if you want to hear, this is how it goes from the verse to the pre-chorus. And then into the chorus. So it gives it just a little bit of a lift for the chorus. And all this is literally, I built out that one loop and then I omitted different things based on what I wanted it to sound like. So I'm going to show you guys, after I finished the loops, I kind of just started playing with lyrics and I started putting lyrics on top of it. And then what I did is I made each piece as long as it needed to be. So for example, I played with that little intro thing and I put a little looper on it up here. And I basically just put this on a loop. I'll show you. And I just practiced. I started singing over it. Until I could come up with a verse I really, really liked. And then once I kind of came up with that, I moved on into the pre-chorus and tried writing on top of that loop. So I created my loop, I stripped some stuff away, and then I used that loop to loop and write my lyrics over. So I kind of created the loop first, and a little of this was back and forth. So once I kind of figured out the lyrics, I kind of went back and I added some different stuff and took away some other stuff based on the lyrics. But this is pretty much the concept, is build out the loop kind of the way you want it to be. And then from there, you can just make each section as long or as short as you want based on how the song turns out. So I'm going to just play a little bit of the beginning for you so you can kind of hear how it progresses.
process, so fully scandalous, it burns to breathe. Time flies underneath the neon lights. Can't we forget last night? What happens here stays here, forgive and forget. And when the sun rises, we'll have to pretend all our bad decisions are left on the road.
Then I stripped it back down. Anyway, so that's kind of the way I did it. So all of this is stemmed from the exact same loop. You just strip it down and so on and so forth. The only thing that I did is after I kind of figured out my lyrics a little bit, I changed up the drum pieces between each part. So it kind of had that dynamic and it built with the drums. Granted, this is obviously just a stock drum thing. This isn't, drums is not my strongest piece, so the beats could definitely be stronger. But especially if you're just starting out and you're not exactly sure how to build the drum beats, or it's not your strength, don't be afraid to use these stock drums, because a lot of times people don't even notice or don't even care. So anyway, I wanted to kind of show you guys the process for this song, all the different pieces for my song, Bad Decisions. If you want to hear this song, I'm going to be posting it, so be sure to follow that. You can watch that in somewhere. There's probably a link or something. So anyway, thank you guys so much. I love y'all. Take care.